My name's Tony Scism. Welcome to Foundations of Photography. So we're going to talk about what photography is. And simply put, photography, its very definition, is drawing with light. So the intent of a photographer is to capture images that tell a story. And we use various equipment to do that with, and processes, and we also try to shape light artificially sometimes. And a lot of times we also just use natural light. So all the gear, cameras, lenses, all that are just tools that try and help us create storytelling images. What is a good picture or a good photograph? It's a photograph that tells a story without anyone having to explain it. It should explain itself. So as an example, I have a handful of images here I will show you now. So these are just a handful of pictures, and each one of these images tells a bit of a story. Some are stronger than others, and some are not so much. This image tells a pretty good, solid story. This image is a little more difficult, but if you look at it for a while, you can generally figure out what the story is. This is sort of a continuation of the same story. This is a much stronger storytelling picture. Now, you've seen the previous two images, and leading up to this, you realize, hopefully, that these images were taken in the southwest of America. Explicitly, my wife and I were going on vacation, and as my wife was driving, I took pictures out the window, and in this case caught a couple of wild horses as we were driving, and some terrain. Another wild horse. This is a corral in Taos, New Mexico. And then we move into, we have sunset in India, Atlantic, Florida. Now, you're not necessarily going to know the location, but it's someplace tropical. You see the palm leaves, the clouds, and this is part of the composition, provide some interest in the sky. Of course, you've got the ocean, you've got the distant strip of land crossing the image, and the clouds are casting shadow on the water. And we're back to our little diner. So, with that being said, each one of those images told a bit of a story. Some were stronger than others, some not so much. Now, getting back to our basics of photography and what our intent is and how we got here. So, painters used to, before photography, you would commission a painter to paint portraits of your family, particularly if you were wealthy. If you were in government, you would have an official portrait, so people knew what you looked like. Landscapes. Monet painted a lot of harbors of various coastlines. And these paintings all basically all told stories. And in the mid to late 1800s, through chemical processes, we were able to move into an era where we could actually capture that what we were seeing in a more permanent basis without necessarily needing the skills of a painter. So those initial attempts were done using glass and metal as the negative or positive, depending on what chemical process was being used. And then in the 1880s, specifically 1888, Eastman Kodak came out with a flexible film that was treated with chemicals, and those chemicals were kept on the film using an adhesive. And at that time, it was the film was made using a cellulose nitrate, and today it's not much different, although today it's a cellulose acetate is basically the material that the chemicals are deposited on. If it's more professional material, then the film is going to be a polyester based. One thing to know about film is over time, at least on the cellulose acetate, it will shrink a little bit over time, so something to be aware of. All of this, again, is about storytelling. So as we go through this class, we're going to try and teach how to capture images that take and tell a story without anyone explaining what's going on. So as part of lesson 1, what I would like anybody who's participating in this to do is to take a picture. You can use anything you want to capture that picture with. You can use your phone, camera, point and shoot, whatever. Capture an image that tells a story without explanation. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please press like and subscribe. And we'll be releasing a video once per week, typically on Sundays. We do have some holidays coming up, but we'll try and put out a video once a week. We'll release those on Sunday afternoon or early evening. And yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this. Thanks, and have a great week.